The purpose of this video is to explain this knob. This is the flavor knob, and it's called that because I really couldn't think of anything else to call it. What it does is it changes the operation of this tube from a pentode to a triode. Now this has been done before, but I've never seen it done as a knob. It's usually just as a switch, and it's not in the preamp section. It's usually in the power amp section. So I figured more people should know about this because it's a pretty cool concept. You can get a lot of control over your sound just from this simple knob. So what I would normally want to do is show the schematics on screen and explain them all, but computer is dead. The pump that runs the cooling system seized, so no computer. I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way: paper, pen. Let's go. So I'm just gonna draw out a typical Pentode preamp. So plate, third grade, second grade, first grade, cathode, and all this stuff in the beginning. It's not really important. So the normal Pentode preamp has grid 3 resistor. It's a separate connection to the B+ supply. So Pentode operation. And the cool thing about pentodes is that you can change around their schematics so that they operate similarly to a triode, which is a tube with just one grid. So I'm going to draw that out. Plate, grid, cathode. This stuff. Oh, this is connected to ground, by the way. Well, this is how it is in my pedal. Typically you see a resistor and a cathode bypass capacitor, but not in low voltage applications. Ground. And this, it's just a small thing, small difference is that plate is connected to grid 3. There's only one thing connected to the B+ supply. And the difference between these two things is their grid curve characteristics. This right here is a graph of the grid curves of a pentode, and you can see it's very linear. This is a graph of the grid curves of a triode. Very, very different, which is why you can see the advantage of having a switch between these two graphs. But what if you had a knob which introduces variability into these two things? What would the grid curves look like if they were half of that and half of that? I wish I knew. Don't have the right machine or tool or whatever to draw those, but it's probably really cool, which is why I put this knob on my pedals. So the way the knob works is that it's very similar to a standard pentode schematic with a few extra things. So this stuff over here is all the same. Always all the same. And this right now is basically that. Coolness starts here. This is part 4, the flavor knob. I also contemplated calling it the mojo knob, but didn't really like that. So what this does, this is the potentiometer, this is the flavor knob, what that does is when there's a high resistance between these two lugs of the potentiometer, the third grid and the plate are disconnected just like that. When there's a low resistance between these two lugs of the potentiometer, the plate and third grid are connected just like that. And the magic happens when it's not on and it's not off, it's somewhere in between. That's when you can really open up your tonal possibilities. I found that Pentode sounds, it has more gain, it's brighter, and it sounds more jangly, whereas a Triode is a bit darker, more mellow, and smooth. And then you can get somewhere in between with this knob, which is why it's my favorite knob. So, these two capacitors right here, it took me a while to figure these out. It's actually, I put them there because it blocks DC from getting onto this potentiometer. You don't want DC over here. It'll mess up your voltages on the plate and the grid. It'll mess everything up. A similar idea is outlined in this book called Designing Valve Preamps by Martin Blenko. He really goes in depth. This is a great book. He really just, as you can see, like, look at all this stuff. So if you want to read more about this knob or just valve preamps in general, highly recommend this book. But if you have any questions of pertaining to just this knob, feel free to leave a comment. We'll get to it as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.